How to make money trading scrap metal, the basics. Scrap metal originates both in business and residential environments. Typically a scrapper will advertise their services to conveniently remove scrap metal for people who don't need it. Scrap is often taken to a wrecking yard, also known as a scrapyard, junkyard, or breaker's yard, where it is processed for later melting into new products. A wrecking yard, depending on its location, may allow customers to browse their lot and purchase items before they are sent to the smelters, although many scrap yards that deal in large quantities of scrap usually do not, often selling entire units such as engines or machinery by weight with no regard to their functional status. Customers are typically required to supply all of their own tools and labor to extract parts, and some scrapyards may first require waiving liability for personal injury before entering. Many scrapyards also sell bulk metals, stainless steel, etc., by weight, often at prices substantially below the retail purchasing costs of similar pieces. How to make money trading scrap metal, the basics. Finding the locations and contacts of the local junkyards in your area can be a tedious task. This is a particular difficulty for people whose lives are not set in a routine, for whom a chance encounter can make up for a lot of time spent hunting. Thankfully, there are ways to circumvent this. Local newspapers are a good resource for listing demolition companies, and therefore for the scrap yards they work with. Scrap yards will also be listed in these publications. Searching for specific keywords such as automobile wrecking yard, garage, wrecking yard, and wrecking yard will bring up a list of popular businesses and locations. When you have located a location, the next step is to find a contact. A lot of information about companies can be found online. Scrap metal originates from both business and residential environments. For the purpose of this article, we'll be exploring how to spot scrap metals and attempt to resell those at a profit. Some scrap metal has a certain inherent value based on the raw materials contained in it. However, once it is scrapped, it loses its value and needs to be resaleable in order to be sold. We'll discuss the different types of scrap metal and identify common scrap areas that we're likely to come across as we spend our days in New York City. Types of scrap metal. There are three basic types of scrap metals that we deal with in our New York City residential environment. Stainless steel. Stainless steel is, in a very general sense, a byproduct of the steel industry, and in a more technical sense it is actually steel that is usually too thin or brittle to be used in industry. Scrap is often taken to a wrecking yard. Metal auction sites, including websites like Bring a Trailer, Needham Welders, and others, operate online or via mobile app to facilitate the purchase of scrap metal from auctions held at sites like Broken Guitars. What is a wrecking yard? A wrecking yard is an area of land used to demolish, clear, sort, or sort materials for recycling. Some of the materials sold at a wrecking yard may be salvaged from salvage, demolition, scrap, scrap recycling, demolition debris, scrap recycling refuse, building or demolition debris, road debris, metal and materials demolition, and similar terms. Once at the yard, the material will be broken down into smaller pieces, sorted into different categories and piled on top of each other in different directions. Many trucks and scrapper laborers, cheap labor for small amounts of work, are employed to drive around the yard to different piles, using large chains and logging trucks to quickly move materials along. Most times, there will be a dumpster nearby. Depending on the location, a wrecking yard may allow customers to browse through their lot and purchase items before they are sent to the smelters. An industrial manufacturer, such as General Motors, may want to purchase old metal as an intrinsic part of the production cycle. They would then sell the parts to any local scrap metal yards or recyclers. Unlike products used in the production of a car or truck, the metal is frequently not used again or reused. Trading scrap is an alternative way for people to make money from the excess metal that is produced through the manufacturing of new products. It's especially relevant to smaller manufacturers in need of a bigger cash flow. This is also a perfect opportunity for someone to make a side business and provide a source of income for themselves in the most efficiently and effectively way possible. Many scrap yards require customers to supply all of the tools and labor to extract parts by collecting scrap and selling it to metal recyclers. Many salvagers can earn much more than by manufacturing or fixing metal products themselves, and they often use these profits to purchase raw materials from scrapyards for subsequent reworking. The second process involves completely rebuilding an item such as a car frame or a refrigerator to new quality standards. It is common for a salvager to use a device called a scrapyard crane, which usually consists of a jacking platform which is attached to a large truck, with a cable attached to the roof to lift the entire car to a dumpster or other large container. Some scrapyards may first require waiving liability for personal injury before entering on the commercial level. The significant quantities of scrap generated by a company are often burned in the production of energy. Other scrap products, such as aluminum cans, aluminum foil, aluminium bike helmets, magazines, plastic containers, or dirty rags, are sometimes recycled into things like new plastic toys, architectural or industrial components, or valuable gemstones. As with any commodity market, the most significant factor affecting scrap prices are the manufacturing costs. Scrap processing companies pay their workers less than standard minimum wage, and thus have lower overhead costs that can drive up the price of scrap metal. Many scrapyards also sell bulk metals, often at a much lower cost, as an additional option, though at times this may not be the best option for the customer. It is not uncommon for customers to have to pay twice for the same metal. These commodity items may also require certain dismantling processes to remove the metallic components before they can be properly sorted. Items such as automobile bumpers, license plates, or other light metals are usually sold for most scrapyards as fresh scrap. Raw materials which do not require further processing may be stored in a pile until the desired metals are ready to be processed. When the scrap metal is purchased, the purchaser can obtain the metal directly from the original seller at a substantially lower price. Conclusion: if you want to make money trading scrap, don't ignore the parts of the process you know nothing about. You should spend some time working with a partner, either by trade or by location, to gain insight into the many options and decisions involved in this valuable, yet dangerous, trade. Good luck trading.